Great. So let's get started. Hello, everybody. It is my pleasure today to welcome you all to what is going to be a highly informative session on building a 10x outbound sales engine. Now, as you share where you're coming from, if you can also share your LinkedIn profiles, so that others can, facilitate networking as well. Let's get started with a quick introduction. My name is Surender, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of salesgear.io. This is my second company as a founder after adapt.io. I will be your host for this event. And let me quickly introduce Ashwin. So, hey Ashwin, joining us today is Ashwin Krishna, an award-winning B2B marketer who has been selling B2B software for over 15 years now. Ashwin is currently the director of marketing at Tact.ai, and before that, he has performed various marketing leadership roles at Capillary and Juniper. He also shares his learning on LinkedIn. He's very popular on LinkedIn, and also his blog, which is growton.co, growton.co. When we talk about outbound marketing, there's nothing better than hearing about it from the experts who've done it multiple times, failed over and over again, and finally have found what the success formula is. And there's a surprise offer to all of you who've joined this call, especially and exclusively for those who joined this call. We will offer a free 30-minute consulting and a feedback session on your outbound strategy. You can explain to us what your strategy is, what difficulties you're facing, and what challenges you're facing, and we'd be able to give a one-on-one session feedback on the strategy. Now, all you have to do is show us some love after the event by posting on LinkedIn, tagging Sales Gear about one thing that you are taking away from this session today. The LinkedIn ID of Sales Gear will be available in the chat window, and please follow our page for updates on more such events in the future. Great. So moving on, a quick update on the session today. The session will be for a total of 45 minutes. The first 30 minutes will be Ashwin sharing his knowledge, followed by a 15 minutes Q&A session. Now, if you have any questions for Ashwin during this session, you can start posting them in the Q&A section of this webinar, and we will try and get as many questions answered at the end of the session. Great. I'm eagerly waiting to hear from Ashwin, just like the rest of you. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Ashwin, over to you.
Hey, Surender, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Ashwin.
Okay, and can you see me?
Yeah.
Just want to ensure, because Murphy's Law, something will happen, something will break in the last second.
All good, Ashwin, you're good to go.
All right, great. Hopefully, all of you are doing great. Hopefully, you had a great week, and hopefully, you're not stuck at the traffic, right? Usually, this is the time to move back home. And thanks to work from home, hopefully you're enjoying a cup of tea or a coffee or whatever beverage of your choice, right? And most importantly, you're spending time with the family and also trying to make the best use of this time by getting better every day, right? So this is whole philosophy of getting better, getting 1% better every day. Hopefully you're taking this time off, when you're working from home, to learn new stuff and to get better actually. All right, so just coming back, I think what we're going to sort of really talk is, prima facie, I think we will not make this boring. This is your event. This is a community event. So as much as we want to learn, we also want to hear from you actually, right? So we want to keep you engaged. So Surender and I will ensure, none of you will get bored. As Surender mentioned, I think I have some gray hairs now. I think after doing outbound and other stuff, other growth and marketing stuff, it's been 15 years now. Got some gray hairs now. I think I can claim that I have done something specific for a considerable period of time. So what I'll try and do is essentially share my failures and learnings over the last 10 plus years, I've been fortunate to sort of build and scale outbound engine, which also sort of scaled to multi-million-dollar kind of revenue, right? So I'll try and share those templates, learnings, failures. Most importantly, we'll also take you through some of the tools, the new age tools, which will just help you to get better, right from today, right? Right from today. You can start using some of these tools just after this call, actually. Right. So agenda, I think we already shared. I think much to discuss there. All right. So before we get started, this brings back to me, to my high school days where, Kaun Banega Crorepati was a rage in 90s and 2000s actually. How would we break an ice and do this little game? How about a quick fastest fingers first? This is how it will work. I will ask a question. You just have to type in the answer in the chat. All right. Let's see who gets it first. All right. Here I go. All right. So very simple question, very straightforward. Something which is very close to all the outbound champions out there. X was discovered almost 4 decades ago, and today, and this X is being used by massive 1.5 billion people every single day, right? At work. All you have to do is just identify what X is. All right. All right. Let's keep some more. WhatsApp. I think it was not discovered 45 years ago, but great answers. Keep it coming. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. And the right answer is this: the humble email. I think the humble email. I think which is a savior for every outbound rep out there. Without this, I don't think we can survive. Right. First of all, a big thank you to all the outbound reps out there. I'm smiling and I'm also equally serious because I have seen the day in the life of outbound reps, right? I have done outbound calls a lot of times because that is the only way to learn. The day in the life of any outbound rep looks something like this. You go there in the woods, send a couple of 100 emails, do about 50 calls, and the result is in the right-hand side, right? Most of the time, 100% of them would say no, or they just don't get a reply. No connect on the calls, no reply. Right? A great day can be this. 99% of them either just pause, they don't respond. 1% will say, hey, maybe I'm interested. Right? So with this grim scenario, right? You guys are great, right? So you go out there every single day, be persistent, chase the leads, and then really get the targets out, right? And you will impact the revenues directly. And that's why I think a big thank you for all of you, because I've seen day in the life of outbound rep. I've seen it over the last 1 decade actually, and it's not easy, right? It's not rosy, or it's not sexy actually. Before we get started, I think as we said, we want to engage with you equally. So Surender, do we have any polls?
Yes, we do.
All right, let's roll the one. Let's see what's the question. I'm actually very eager to see the question. All right, so the question is, what percentage of your leads come from cold outreach, which is outbound? Less than 10, 10 to 30, 30 to 50, and greater than 50. I'm eager to talk to people who say greater than 50. I'm not really influencing the poll, but please fill the poll very quickly in the next 10 seconds. And then Surender, I think let's quickly see the result of 10 seconds.
Great. 10 more seconds. 5 more seconds. And we are closing the poll, so I'll share the results in a minute.
All right. I definitely want to talk to these 9 people who said 50%, greater than 50%, sorry. Interesting, right? Very interesting. So about half of them say the percentage of leads which come from outbound is less than 10%, right? Definitely, I think this session will potentially help you move to the next segment, right? Maybe, from 5 to, let's say, 5% or 6%. Hopefully, we will try and help you to double that number, actually. All right, let's roll. So in life or with outbound, right, it all starts with a purpose. If you have a clear purpose, half the battle is won. And hence, it's same case with outbound. While, you can see the funnel in the right, MQL to closure, it's absolutely important as a leader to define what does this outbound channel, right? What does this amazing bunch of SDRs will help you achieve? Do you want them to generate leads, not meetings, SQLs, or do you want them to close deals, right? Which is get you revenues directly. So two of these objectives are very, very different, right? You can't hire someone who is very strong in prospecting and make them do the sale. You will just potentially, screw up their career and will also be not able to hit the target, right? So please be clear before you go back to the drawing board. Do you want leads from the outbound channel or opportunities? Opportunity is nothing but a lot more qualified lead, or do you want revenues? Because your channel strategy, your people to hire, everything sort of centers around this. All right. So what I'll try and do is spend a lot of time covering the first aspect, because both of these are two big pieces. We'll not be able to cover that in the next 25 minutes. So I'll try and focus. Focus is very good, actually. Focus is always good. So I'll try and focus on the first thing, right? How can you essentially build a scalable and predictable outbound engine, which is nothing but generate a lot of high quality leads? And I'm essentially a framework person, because frameworks will help you systematically channelize your ideas into a blueprint, which you can just execute. And execution is going to be easy because you learn something, you sort of codify your learnings into a framework, and which you can essentially tell people to execute, right? And for all frameworks, has a code. So this is very simple framework, which most of you know, which is the right audience, right message, right channel, and right time. You need to start with the right audience, combined with the right message. If you do an outreach with the right message to this audience on the right channels, and if you're at the right time, the chances that you get a lead would be a lot higher. Or it all starts with the right audience. So some of these will very, very quickly take you folks, because stuff like ICP, right? Everybody knows. I think ICP has become transformed from a buzzword to a reality now. The only point I want to essentially make is, don't say ICP. My ICP is SMB, right? Or my ICP is mid-sized business. That is not really ICP. ICP is a very sharp, focused, defined, small set of audience which is relevant for you. And here is an example, right? ICP will have a revenue segmentation combined with an install base of your competitor product, right? So, which also talks about how much they're ready to invest in the product, right? So on and so forth. Personas, I don't have to really say, because at the end of the day, the most important point is be very clear in mapping the buying center of the product, all the way from the user to influencer and the decision maker. That's very important. Right? Once you know that, okay, this is the specific set of companies you want to go after, and this is specific 3 or 4 personas in a specific company, then it's all about building the database. Building database is possibly a superpower. Possibly a superpower every company can have. I can also go ahead and say that you can make database as a moat. At the end of the day, especially in mid-market or enterprise, having the most comprehensive database can help you really help you to reach out to everyone, right? And how to do it, we'll just figure that out. How do you build this most comprehensive database, right? If you're in the US and if you're just starting out, right, which most of us are, then you can buy a tool, something like a Adapt or an Apollo. They're great tools which has enough breadth. So breadth is one dimension, which is about hey, how many companies in my ICP this tool has, right? So Adapt might have, let's say, 10,000 companies. Apollo might have 8,000 companies. Then of course, there's a tick mark. There's a tick mark for Adapt, right? So once the breadth is done, then go to the depth. So how many contacts? How many contacts in your ICP does this tool has? So let's say Adapt has better number than Apollo. Of course, if both breadth and the depth alongside the quality of the contacts, if let's say Adapt is better, then you can definitely go and choose that. So both of these tools have a mid-range pricing, and hence I'm saying that it's a great point to start with. Once you grow, right? Once you, let's say, cross a certain threshold of, let's say, $10 million, your time also increases, right? Your time increases. You will go to more and more countries. So the best way to augment the database is to buy a Adapt or a Apollo alongside buy the mother of databases, right? The ZoomInfo, possibly the most comprehensive database at this point in time. And I've done this primary research as well. So the way to do it is, the way to augment your database is this. Take your ICP filters, go to Adapt or Apollo, download all the contacts. Right? So once you have that, use that as a debuff list on ZoomInfo. So why? Because ZoomInfo credits are very, very costly. It's typically 30 cents. Even if you buy the enterprise license, it's 30 cents per record, which is huge, right? So what you will do, you will not download the records which you already have, let's say from Adapt or Apollo. Rather, you will get the set of contacts which ZoomInfo has, but tools like Adapt don't have it. Hence, I just said, download the list from Adapt, put it on ZoomInfo as a debuff list. So ZoomInfo, what it does is, it will give you a set of contacts which are not present in your existing list. Actually, going further, if you want to get to 90%, 95% and above, you definitely have to build a data mining team, right? Who constantly, uses magazines and other data sources to augment your database so that you can essentially build databases remote. Well, if you are focusing on APAC, right? At Capillary, my previous company, we built the most comprehensive retailer database in Asia, actually. Interestingly, a lot of the retail organizations, retail associations, right? Non-profit retail associations, like Retail Association of India, they came back to us and said, hey, you folks possibly have a lot more retailers than in our database. Again, all respect to the great work they do. But the point I'm trying to make is, we spend great deal of time in using a set of amazing data mining team. And we also sort of scouted about more than 15 regional database vendors, and just picked up two really amazing set of folks who actually gave us this, who essentially helped us to augment this. So the point is, if you're in APAC, the challenges are going to be a lot more. You can definitely buy ZoomInfo or Adapt or Apollo, but they just might not have, the comprehensive DB, because most of the platforms are not focused in the APAC market. All right, so once you have the database, it's all about messaging, right? Again, I'll very, very quickly pass this through, because it's something I just want to give you as a data point, or just as an insight. I would urge you to go and read about it. Fundamentally, the framework is very simple. Don't talk about technology. Talk about what are the pain points. What are the 3 specific pain points you will solve, and how will you solve, right? End of the day, a job is nothing but a problem a person would have. Let's say the guy who is actually doing skateboarding actually want to have fun with the skateboard. He or she is not really worried whether the skateboard is made of a carbon skateboard or a stainless steel skateboard. Doesn't really matter, right? It so happens that tech folks talk a lot about tech, which is great, but for the users, talk about how your great tech can solve, right? What are the problems your tech can solve, actually? In fact, I can share an amazing 2-pager on this, on jobs to be done. You can send me a direct message on LinkedIn. that will help you to do a more deep dive on it. All right. So you have the database. You essentially have the great set of messages, emails, and call scripts and all that, which you'll build alongside the marketing team. The most important thing after that is really personalization, right? And this is a very basic thing which all of us know. Is just that we fail to implement it, right? Because it's very hard. Knowing your customer is again another superpower. And how we can do it is just heads down execution, right? So the company level attributes such as go and find out, hey, if you are going and reaching out to a specific company, find out the CEO name, go and spend some time on the YouTube if there is an interview, even if it's a small startup. Of course, there is funding news or some of that. The CEO would have spoken. The CEO interview is a wealth of information, right? Wealth of information to know about the company. So things like what are the awards one has won, what number of years of experience, how do you know that person? What are the mutual connections that you can find on LinkedIn, and what are the content pieces they have liked or they have shared, right? Because at the end of the day, that shows how that person is, right? If somebody has a very strong opinion on a specific emerging technology, know that actually, right? Know that is something which is very, very helpful. And then now there are amazing set of tools out there which can help you solve some of these research problems. There are tools like B2 Brain, run by an amazing founder, Sridhar, who gives company level insights. There are tools like Warmer. I will give a quick demo in the next few minutes. It will essentially help you build content, build introduction blurbs if you key in a LinkedIn profile ID, right? I'll quickly show a demo after this. And then there are tools which will even tell you which are the competitor products which your prospect is using, and when is their agreement potentially expire, right? Of course, there is some of these are more probability, but the information is out there. So very quickly show you an example, right? So can you see my screen? Hopefully.
No, not your. We're seeing the slideshow, Ashwin. We're not seeing your browser or Chrome browser.
All right, sure. Just a second. How about now?
Yeah, you can see it now.
All right. So if somebody wants to sell a CRM to Tag.ai, they don't have to ask me, what CRM we're using. All you just have to do is go to build with, right? So key in Tag.ai, and boom, we're using HubSpot, which is right? So go and just spend some time. You will be able to figure out stuff. All right, sure. So coming back to slides. All right, so now we have great database. Now we have messaging. Now we have insights.
Yeah,
it's about execution now.
Ashwin, your video is turned off. We're not able to see you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. How about now?
It's blank. It looks like you disappeared.
Interesting. Just give me one second. Sorry, I think I removed the cable. Yeah, you should be able to see now. All right, sure. So you have the database, you have the messaging, you have your arm with insights. Now it's time to execute, right? I think the first one is that I don't even want to talk about spray and pray. Just flash this 100 emails and then again spray and pray, right? That just doesn't work out. That's done. That's done, folks. So there are only two options we have. Of course, there might be more, but based on my learning, this is the two things which is called. One, at a higher level, you take an industry. Let's say you want to focus on BFSI. Take BFSI. Take three personas you want to reach out to. Build messages specific to that industry and specific pain points about that persona. right? So that's one level of personalization. The second level is going deeper. Even within BFSI, if you want to target 10 different companies, go company by company, understand what the company is about, understand their objectives, then fuse in the insights from the company and also specific insights about the individual, right? And that's when you meet this animal called account-based marketing. All right, so there are two different types. So one to many, where you essentially do industry-based campaigns, where you take each persona, understand their problem statement, and really, really resonate with them and talk to them, right? In terms of the emails and stuff. Otherwise, the next level of personalization is ABM, where you fuse in the insights from the individual and as well as the company. Yeah, looks like I think I bored you folks a bit. So I think, so Surender, how about another question?
Sure. So let's do another quick poll.
All right, this is a great question because a lot of folks ask me, hey, do you recommend email? Does calling work? When can we call? Is cold calling dead? So on and so forth. So, and I think the survey answers will definitely help others as well, which channels will work, right? I think let's take another 10 seconds and let people to vote. Folks would urge you to vote because urge you to, give feedback, just answer the poll so that, genuinely so that you're contributing information which will help others as well. I think good karma is always good.
Great. Last 5 seconds. Okay. Sharing the results in a minute.
Waiting for that then. Boom! 50% of them, more than 50% use all the channels. That's amazing. Interesting. I think a lot of the folks are not using phone. Very interesting. Got it. I think great insights. Yeah. So fundamentally, most of you are right? It is not either email or LinkedIn or call. It's nothing but an orchestra, right? You're essentially like the orchestra head who will be orchestrating the campaign across the board, right? And across multiple days. This is an example. This is not really, this is not a hard and fast rule. This is an example of a campaign where you will do an outreach, create some nudges across channels to your prospect over 21 days, right? And then the campaign duration might vary. Don't treat this as a final thing. We'll potentially start with an email, right? So how does the email look like? The first email, breaking the ice, telling them, hey, it's great to see that, I really like the post you wrote on LinkedIn, and I agree with you, right? We know that you have this problem, or your industry have this problem. As a company, we solve it, and we have already solved the problem for other 5 similar players. And here's the social proof, and then finally call to action. Right? I'll essentially show you an example of an email, but I just give you a glimpse or an overview. As we just spoke, it's an orchestra, so you will also go ahead and send an invite, right? And some of who is this guy? Somebody's trying to stalk me, right? Which is good. It's all about getting the attention. End of the day, it's about getting that attention. Maybe day 3 you nudge them by sending a follow-up and view the profile, right? Again, a lot of them might not have seen the first mail, haven't seen the invite. There are higher chances that they can either see the mail or see the profile. One quick insight, right? The follow-up mail, don't just hound people, give me a meeting, please give me a meeting, when can we chat, right? Don't show that, don't press the button of meeting very often actually. Send them useful stuff. Send them a blog which is very relevant to that audience, right? Send them a customer story, right? Send them a testimonial where someone is talking about, hey, I have this problem, this company has really helped us, right? Or send them a demo, which is, let's say, customized for that specific industry. Though, in a nutshell, when you're doing follow-up, continuously add value, and try and make it a sequence. Tell them, hey, I sent this one case study. Did you like it? Do you have any feedback? Can we chat more? Right? Rather than just asking them for a meeting, which all of us are tempted to ask. Yeah. So like some of the posts they have written, right? After that, try and call them, right? Don't ever call them, blindly, right? This just doesn't work. And frankly, the call rates are just getting worse and worse. I think 3 to 5% is typically the call connection rate, where you can talk to the right people. So call is just an enabler. Don't use call as a channel. Don't rely a lot on the call, right? But it can definitely help you when you have some opens, when you have some engagement. Let's say somebody have opened the mail, somebody have clicked on a link, somebody have accepted the invite, right? So then you have context when you call them. You can tell them, hey, did you get a chance to go through the mail? We're connected on LinkedIn, so you'll start speaking like you already know that person actually, and the journey continues, right? Again, as I said, is a hustle. Life of outbound team is a hustle, right? Keep doing this, right? Keep exploiting all the possible options you have. Definitely please don't overdo it, but have a specific campaign plan and execute it actually. And there is this interesting thing called Breakup, right? I'll talk about it in a second. All right, so this is an example of a first email. Largely, what you can see is there's some personalization fields. We are telling them that person X has won this award. Then we also know that he's a retailer, he or she is a retailer. They have some 100+ stores. They have 13 million consumers. Some of these are, research based on their annual report. And we're telling them, for you, pandemic has led to a specific set of outcomes, right? A lot more people are buying grocery, which everyone can understand. So over here it is, if you see, it's a email which is less than 150 words, not a HTML mail, never ever send a fancy HTML stuff that will, most of the times, you'll be in the spam. So write as if you're sending an email to your friend, right? So, and real people are sending them. So don't create this fake IDs and send it. A lot of funny, I can talk about some funny instances where, we had this, fake names created, and of course, no one will turn up in the real meeting. They will all ask you, hey, I really wanted to meet your colleague who sent me this email. And most of the times we were forced to lie, saying, they're busy or something. So I think that time is gone, right? So people would search for the name on the LinkedIn. If there is no profile, then they'll potentially say, hey, this is some spam actually. So real people sending, text emails, just breaking the ice, do a bit of personalization, and then some of these best practices would certainly work. Here's a quick example. I can share. Just a second. So there's this tool called Warmer. All you have to do is just key in the LinkedIn profile. It gives this amazing set of blurbs, right? So this is about me actually. All I have given is my LinkedIn profile. So it has given this blurbs which says, hey, it's really impressive that you started as a programmer, then broke releases. I've written this in my LinkedIn. It has summarized. It's an AI tool which is summarized. It has given blurbs. Some of this will, you don't have to do research for every single person. Right? You can use tools like this. Pick up this insight. Use this. Use your typical pitch. The other set of segments which I mentioned. Stitch an email and then send it actually. I think the point is there are a whole lot of tools out there, which can do all the heavy lifting for you. All you have to do is find the right tool and start using it at the right time. All right. So how does first cold call it? I don't have to really talk about it because this is very, very similar to email, right? You break the ice, you make them talk a lot, A lot of them will say, hey, I really spoke wonderful, right? I really spent a lot of time. I spoke about, we did this, we did that. Our product, our platform is great. I spent like, 90% of the time I was able to talk. Some of the reps would say that, right? And that myth is completely wrong. Please let, please let the prospect speak at least 80% of, at least like an average, not at least, at an average of 80% of the time. Let's say you have a call of 30 minutes, ask them a lot of good questions after you break the ice so that they will start opening up actually. It's easier said than done. While this framework or the template I'm showing, 90% of the times it doesn't work, right? Because a lot of them shut the phone, they'll say, hey, why are you calling me? I don't know who are you, right? Then it takes the first initial few minutes to break the ice actually. But if you succeed in that first lap of breaking the ice, then it's all about asking them the right question, right? Ask them what are the challenges, what are the top priorities they have, what are the challenges they're facing, and then talk about, hey, we solve the similar challenges, we appreciate, we understand, we empathize with the problems you have, and we have solved that for similar customers, right? Also understand how does the buying center, how is the buying center map? Who are the decision makers who might be present? So that even when this specific prospect might not respond, let's say after 3 months, they say that we might evaluate a product of 3 months. That's when we can reach out to everyone whom you already mapped actually. So I think the first call is a great opportunity to know your customer actually, right? So it's okay if you don't, if you speak less, but get those specific insights which will help you to prospect the meeting in a better way. Worst case, right? Worst case, what they should remember you as an expert, right? They shouldn't remember you as some random sales rep trying to sell something. They should remember you as someone who can understand the industry well and who is always on the toes to help someone actually. So I remember in a lot of the times people write back to us, wrote back to us saying, hey Lakshman, you called me like 6 months back. I really enjoyed that conversation. We have a need right now. Let's meet tomorrow. Right? That's because Lakshman has really empathized with this prospect, given a solution roadmap for that specific industry. So it's very, very important to don't appear or don't act as a sales rep, but act as a consultant, right? Act as a problem solver. Extremely critical. Yeah, I was talking about breakup email. So nobody wants to break up, but of course, after you do 7, 8 touch points or 10 touch points, this is another leaf which you can take out of the playbook, right, and execute it. So make them feel bad. So tell them, hey, I'm trying to really help you out. From the last, let's say, 3 weeks, I'm trying to reach you out. I know you're busy, but tell me whether you're interested or not. Right? Tell me you really want to understand, how to increase the business or not. Right? A lot of them will say no, which is absolutely fine, because the fact that they're saying no by pressing a reply button, it shows that they have seen the mail. Right? They have synthesized what you have written, or maybe the past mail as well. Right? So the first email and the breakup emails are potentially the 2 emails which has given us the maximum bounty of leads in the past. All right, some quick, once you launch this campaign, then it's all about scale, right? So how do you really build scale? How do you really build scale and build this, build this whole engine which is repeatable and also sort of scalable actually. So the framework is really the playbook, right? End of the day, every campaign is nothing but a playbook. There is a bunch of emails, there is a bunch of calls you'll make, there's a bunch of content stuff you'll send. So design a playbook, execute it. And great ideas come from the team, right? So you let people experiment, right? Let a couple of BDRs or SDRs, ask them to experiment. Let them fine tune the content, let them send some resources, so on and so forth. And some of them will come back and say, hey, this email is working wonders. A lot of them are responding to me. And what will you do? You will very quickly understand why is it working and fine tune it and replicate it with other SDRs actually. Imagine you have 10 SDRs. All of them are at three meetings per month. And one of them is like really killing it, right? Let's say 8 meetings per month. Go and figure out what are the type of the emails which are working well for this AREP, and then try and replicate that, right? So that is what I really mean by playbook, actually, right? When you take one email, replicate it across the reps, or take one resource content which is highly sought out, use that blurb, right? Stitch it in the playbook, actually. And you will not be able to do all of this unless if you have a platform where you can help your reps to send emails, make calls, engage on LinkedIn in one platform, actually, right? And once you have all of this data in one place, the beauty starts from there, right? So the beauty lies in empowering and training these reps. It's not always about, hey, how many meetings did you get, right, in weekly review? It's also about finding every single opportunity to tell them, hey, what can we do better, right? What can we do better? How can we improve the content? How can we improve the send time? What's the volume of emails you send, so on and so forth. So a system like a sales engagement platform will essentially give you an aggregated information in one place, so that you can not only track all the information in one place, all the data about emails, the aggregated emails sent by reps, aggregated number of calls, all of that. And once you have the data, of course, the magic starts from there. You'll start figuring out, okay, who is doing well, what type of email is working well, and very quickly replicate this a rep or a high performing rep best practices across the team. Then you automatically, all the folks who are getting like this much, 3 meetings per month will automatically elevate it to sort of reach the threshold of 5, actually. And there's no better, satisfaction, right? No better satisfaction other than empowering these folks who are not doing well and making them win, actually. Right. And so you essentially sort of build the system for scale. Now, another big question, right? Once you have a lead, how do you really work with the sales team, actually? Because BDR and the BDR, SDR, and the sales reps are two faces of a coin. A lot of the times, BDR would say, "Hey, I got this amazing lead. I'm passing it to you. My job is done." Right? This is nothing but a relay race, right? Where you pass the baton and you assume that the sales rep will cross the finish line. In the real world, this is not true, right? In the utopian world, it is true, but in the real world, 95% of the times the lead would go cold. So what should ideally the sales rep should do? They will try and call them, try and do all type of nurturing. If things doesn't work out, they will pass it back, just like a football, right? Pass it back as a football to the BDR. So what the BDR and the SDR does, they'll again understand the context, nurture them, keep the lead, and whenever the lead is ready, they will pass it to the sales rep, actually. So this is nothing but I think the sales, the BDR or the SDR, almost like play a beautiful game of football. I don't think it's a relay race anymore, right? So empower both of them to play this game, with this one single objective of hitting the goal. It's extremely important. All right, this is the tech stack, I think, for Rockstar SDRs. I think we already discussed some of these. There are some amazing tools like V2 Brain or Phantom Buster, which can automate a whole bunch of things. If you want to take a screenshot, you can take it. At the end of the day, this is where the rubber hits the road, right? This is where you start executing stuff. All right. And finally, the metrics, right? Finally, the metrics. This is how the typical funnel looks like. There are a bunch of MQLs in the beginning, and you send a bunch of emails, call them, do LinkedIn outreach. So what would happen is you should have a lead score as a metric, which is nothing but a function of how engaged the MQL is. Right? So based on somebody's opening a lot of emails, somebody's clicking on a bunch of links, then the score for that specific lead will increase actually. So based on the score, let's say 0 to 30 would be cold, 30 to 50 will be warm, 50 plus is hot MQL, right? So this will help your SDR to pick and choose the right cohort. Let's say for hot MQLs, the SDR will make outbound call. For warm MQL, they will just do a bit of follow-up, just nudge them. For cold, they will potentially, take help from marketing, maybe ask them to run some campaigns, right? So this will again help the SDRs to systematically mine their whole database, their assigned set of accounts, and pick and choose the ones which will potentially convert better, right? So let's imagine there's a bunch of hot MQLs, a bunch of folks who are engaging, who accepted the invites, that potentially open a bunch of emails, etc. Then some of them will reply, right, saying, "Hey, I want a meeting," and that is when your SDR should further qualify, right? Ask them the right questions and have an and score. This is not banned. This is not a typo. I don't think most of the prospects would care a shit about B, right, which is the budget. And this is in reality, right? So there's an SDR which is calling, or there's a sales rep who is calling out of the blue or emailing. I don't think anybody would be ready to share that budget. Maybe 10% will share, but 90%, and I really doubt that because been there, seen it. So let's trim B and then have the simple scoring called AND, which is authority. Are you talking to the right persona? Do they have the right need? Need is not a very vague need. Right? Hey, they're looking for a CRM. That is not a need. You should ask them, okay, what are the top 3, top 5 things they're looking for a CRM in CRM, and sort of nail that. And finally, timeline, how soon they're looking for a CRM example, right? And then, so every lead which gets passed on as a SQL to sales rep, you have to assign an AND score, right? Let's say again, 70 plus is a hot SQL. Let's say 30 to 50 to 70 is a warm SQL, so on and so forth. And then SQL will become an opportunity. A lot of the times, SQL and opportunity will become cold, and the sales rep would pass the ball back into the court of SDR. That's when it will become an MQL again, right? And the cycle would continue. Of course, some of them will close as a logo actually. So the top 3 metrics which are important, right? Which is of course how many meetings, how many qualified meetings are SQLs where SDR is generating. It's not just about volume; it's also about the quality, right? How many SQLs are converting to opportunity? So typically, mid-market and enterprise, the SQL to opportunity conversion is definitely in the range of 60%. So if it is not above 50%, I would say, something need to be qualified, right? The SDRs definitely need to qualify the leads better. And finally, try and also, once the engine comes to an intermediate state, start measuring how much pipeline. Pipeline is nothing but there are, let's say, 10 opportunities, and the average opportunity size is, let's say, $10,000, then $100,000 is the pipeline, right? So start measuring what's the pipeline per SDR. It's also important to measure what are the breakthroughs your SDR has made, right? Because we usually get stuck with, hey, how many meetings have you generated? But a lot of the SDRs go to the extra mile, really go to the extra mile in creating that need, following up like 50 times, right? Not really hounding them, but really, calling them at the right time, sending them the right content, being patient. So also try and measure these breakthroughs. What are the number of breakthroughs your SDR has made? What are the number of times where the SDR has gone to the last mile and created a need, right? Acted as a consultant, like a real consultant. It's very important to give them a pat on the back. When they make these breakthroughs. See, when they are making these breakthroughs, automatically they will generate breakthroughs. Right? And so this is one benchmark number, right? I think a lot of the folks have asked me. So how many meetings or how many SQLs per SDR per month. So for US and Europe, I think if you're in a mid market and above, I think while the number varies across industries, etc., the benchmark number, like typical like average number, if an SDR is generating about 7 meetings in an average per month, highly qualified meetings, I think it's a good number to start with. In APAC, the number is slightly higher because a lot of the people tend to, especially in India, tend to take meetings, right? Even though they don't have a requirement, they tend to take meetings. They are in exploratory mode, so on and so forth. Hence, the average number for India or APAC is slightly on a higher side, which is about 10 actually. All right, so I think just want to reiterate which what Surender mentioned. For all the folks out there, share your learning on LinkedIn, and yeah, I think Surender will be doing this later in audit. All right, I think that's all I had. I think I might have bored you. If I bored you, sorry for that. I will take any questions.
Hey, Ashwin, thank you so much. I think the session was really very insightful. And of course, one session is not going to be enough to explore Outbound fully. And we do multiple sessions like this, and we dig deeper into each of these segments. So yes, we are overshooting time. Thank you everybody. And sorry, we're keeping you on hold for a minute. So we'll just take a couple of questions, before we wrap up. So this is a question from Praful. When you say right time, what exactly do you mean by right time? So when you say reach out to the prospect at the right time, so what do you mean by right time?
Okay, great. That's a wonderful question. I think I didn't cover this. So right time will be principally when they're looking for a solution, right? Let's take a step back. When will somebody look for a solution? There are a few instances. One, there is a leadership change. Let's say your product will be bought by a CMO in a company, and the company has appointed a new CMO. Maybe after a month, it's a great time to reach out, because typically a new leader will come and sort of shake the system, want to do some new stuff. So that's one potential right time, right? Second, again, if you have access to this, if you are in a web technology industry, there's a lot of information which Built With has, and there are some other technographic tools which also give you when will the contract expire, right? I think this information is more probabilistic, so that's again a right time. Third, again, there are multiple inputs and multiple signals. Another example would be someone is essentially hiring a lot of people for Salesforce, right? So what it means is they have bought Salesforce, or they're implementing Salesforce. So if you have a tool which sits on top of Salesforce, that might be a great time, because they're hiring big time in Salesforce architects, possibly.
Great. Another question we've received from multiple people is, with personalization, how many emails per day is a good benchmark number? How many emails should I be sending every day?
Not sure. I think the answer for this is it depends, but I think what typically the recommendation would be, don't send more than 400, 500 emails, right? And if you do personalization, if you are focusing on named accounts, try and do less. Let's say 100 emails a day. Or if that's when if I'm saying highly personalized, that's more like ABM. If you're doing more like one-to-many, where you have a set of content which is written for an industry and persona, maybe you can send about 400 to 500 emails. I think anything more than that might not be fruitful, right? Because end of the day, your open rate would potentially go down by 50%. Then fundamentally, it's okay to send less emails, get a great open rate, right? Versus send like thousands of emails and get possibly like less than 10% open rate.
Got it. And there are startups which are looking to yet to identify their ICP, right? So for startups like these, what strategy do they follow for their outbound? Who do they reach out to?
Sure. I think this is another great question, because So outbound is a great opportunity or a channel to find your right STP. Right? It's possibly the most cost-effective channel to figure out this product market fit / ICP discovery. So what you got to do is figure out the top three, figure out the top three industries, run campaigns, right? Run campaigns, then speak to a bunch of people, right? Speak to about maybe 15, 20 people in each segment. Right? So based on your conversation, I think you can always, do it in a very methodical way where we can figure out what type of message is working when we speak to them, or let's say when they reply to emails, or know what type of content resources they're clicking on they're consuming. And hence, outbound not necessarily need to be a lead gen source. It can be a great source to discover your ICP, and even let's say you want to do a new country launch, and you have like three countries who are contending. Outbound can be an answer for this, right? We can try outbound in the 3 countries and figure out which country is working well. And on top of that, right, I'm not saying outbound is the only channel which will help you to find the right country, but again, just stepping back for startups, I think this is a great tool. This is a great opportunity to discover your ICP.
Great, great, Ashwin. I think we've run out of time. There are quite a few more questions actually. So what we will try to do is get Ashwin to answer those questions offline, and we will email the answers to you. Really interesting questions, but unfortunately we are running out of time. So to wrap up, Ashwin, thank you so much for your time and doing this for us. It's really very insightful, and I look forward to doing more sessions like this. And we dig deeper into how to do the outbound strategy. And thank you all for patiently listening to what we had to say. And hopefully you found this useful. And as mentioned, if you can post something on LinkedIn tagging Sales Gear with what is the one thing that you learned from this session, the LinkedIn profile of Sales Gear is provided in the chat message here. That will be really useful. Thank you so much, and all of you have a good night.